Hi, my name is John. I'm here at the Bunomatic headquarters in Springfield, Illinois. Today we're going to be going through how to connect cord caps onto wiring that you might get with the machine. We're going to cover. I've got a 4-prong plug here. We've got a 3-prong plug, and these are both 208 or 240. And then also, while we're at it, we're going to do a regular 120 volt plug. So we're going to start with the most common in the 208 or 240, and that's a 4-prong plug. If you zoom in here, we can read the number here, and this is L1430P. So L1430 is they call the NEMA number, NEMA, and you'll find that on plugs, and you also find it on the outlets. So when you look at the outlet, you'll want to buy the cord cap that matches the outlet that you're using. And the 30 here indicates the amp draw. So this could be an L1420P. It would have a different configuration. For example, this little protrusion here, this little L like this, instead of going inward, it might be going outward for the 20 amp. But regardless of which plug it is, they're all basically the same, as you'll see going through all these 3 different types. So we'll start with, to take this piece out, there's usually screws going straight down in here, and then to clamp the cord, there's 2 screws here like that. Now when I'm doing these, I prefer to use a cordless screwdriver. Makes things go a lot faster. You certainly can use a regular screwdriver, it just takes a lot longer. So we pull these 2 screws out and remove this. And one important note that might seem silly right now, but not so silly after you forget to do it. Before you get started, you want to run your wires through the plug, and see if I can twist these together and get it pushed through here. Now I'm not going to clamp this down just yet, because I'm going to connect this and then pull it back to where it's nice and tight, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in just a minute. I point this out that it's important that you do this first, because I can't tell you how many times I've gotten these wires all connected to my plug and I've forgotten to slide on the housing first, so I have to take it all apart again. So let's just take a look at this one here really close. So we've got, I'm going to turn it around this way. We've got 4 prongs. This one here, I'm going to use this pointer here. This one here is the ground. Directly across from it is the neutral. Then the 2 on the side are going to be the hot wires. Now a couple of notes, a couple ways to remember. The way I always remember is the funniest looking plug is always the ground, and the one directly across from that is the neutral. Now when we get to the 2 power wires here, on one side it says Y, and on the other side it says X. Well, this is kind of worn off, but it says X right here. X and Y, both of them are hot wires. Most of the time it doesn't matter where you put the hot wire, the red or the black, but these 2 will get red and black. Just before you turn on the machine, you want to check the voltage at the terminal block to make sure there isn't a mistake in the outlet causing different voltages. So I'm going to start off by the green ground, and usually that's marked with a little bit of green paint in there. It's not always, but most of the time it is. So I'm just going to give you, let's do this. If I can get really close in here, let me see. Yeah. So you can see where the wire goes in there, and then when I turn the screw, it's just basically going to squeeze these 2 plates together and clamp that wire in place. So that's all you're really doing, is tighten that screw to clamp that wire in place. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out to give me some room to put the cord in. I'll put the green in and hold in place. Now that one's nice and tight, I'm going to put the white wire in on the opposite side. I realize I just advised everybody to use a cordless screwdriver, but for these they don't turn very far, and I don't want to risk over tightening and stripping something out. So I'm going to put the black wire right into the X here, all the way. And tighten it up. And the last one, red, is going to go into the Y. Make sure these are twisted nice and tight, otherwise it can kind of get hung up on something in there. I'll go in. Okay, so that's how that goes. And then to slide this back in, a lot of them have some kind of a keyway. This one's got a little groove right there, and then there's a little protrusion right there. So the groove just lines up with the protrusion to let it slide in. If I have it turned a little bit, it just won't go in. So if you're having a hard time getting something to fit, it probably just isn't lined up. So it goes right in like that. And then these screws are generally kind of long, so that's where the cordless screwdriver comes in handy. And the last thing is I need to clamp these down here. So turn this around so you can see that way, and I'll just So there we have it. That's for a 4-prong plug. Now this wire that I'm using, you notice has a red, a black, a green, and the white. This is referred to as a 3-wire grounded cord. You should always assume that there's a ground. So if it's a 3-wire cord, that means there are 2 hots, 1 neutral, plus the ground. 3 wires plus the ground. A 2-wire cord would have 2 wires plus a ground. So in this case, we're going to hook it up to a 3-prong plug. Same thing. We've got in this case we've got 3 screws here on top, and then the 2 screws here on the side to clamp this down. So I'm going to pull this out, and okay, I just don't have this opened up far enough yet. I'm going to go ahead and stick this all the way through. Now notice on this side of the wiring here, the neutral is cut off. If you have a 3-prong plug that's 208 or 240, you'll have 2 hots and a ground. And again, notice this ground is the funny looking screw here, or the funny looking prong with the little L. There you go. Funny looking. So this is going to be the ground, and these are going to be the 2 hots. So they're also marked with X and Y. So I'm going to follow the same. I'm going to put black on X like I did on the other one, and then of course the green in the ground. So I'll just make sure it's open enough. Get it in there. X. And yes, I did just realize, caught what I just did. I used the electric the power driver instead of the hand screwdriver. It's a case of I tell you one thing and I do the wrong thing. So. Okay, so I'll just slide, and there's my protrusion right there, and there's my groove right there. So turn this around. Now this white wire is cut off in this circumstance right here. So this is a neutral wire. It doesn't carry any current from the outlet or to the machine or anything else. So in this case, this neutral wire on the machine side won't be connected because the machine this 3-prong plug would be used on would only have 3 places to put wires. So in that case, this is a wire that's not going to be connected on either side. If it makes somebody feel better, you can put some electrical tape over that. But this is just a wire that's just along for the ride, kind of. It's a case where somebody needs to connect a 3-prong plug to a 3-prong machine, but all you have is a 4-wire cord, so, or 3-wire plus ground cord. It's okay to do this as long as the amperage matches up. So slide this in, make sure it seats nice and tight. Come over here, push this in a little bit so I can clamp it. Nice and tight. So there you have it, a 4-prong plug and a 3-prong plug. Now keep in mind there are a lot of different configurations. You might go out and find an outlet that has prongs that go straight in 3 different directions, so you have a big box, sort of something you would see on a dryer or something like that. As long as the amperage is rated for what the machine is rated for, you're okay. As long as the amperage of the plug and the cord and the outlet are higher than the machine requirements, you're okay to use whatever configuration. You know, you don't have to get plugs that look like this if you've already got an outlet that doesn't look like these at all. All right, so we'll set this to the side here and move on to the 120 volt cord here. And again, you're going to find a bunch of different configurations of these the 120 volts also. And as long as the rating matches up, then you're okay to use it. Now, this is a case, and the reason I chose this one today is, notice it's got the bottom prong here, and that's the ground wire. But also, so one of these are straight, and the other one is sideways. This is a 20 amp plug. A lot of the equipment that we use is a higher load, so it needs a 20 amp cord. Some of the equipment we sell comes with the 20 amp cord, and some people tend to make a mistake and they only have 2 straight prongs, so they'll grab this and twist it straight. That's not something you want to do. You have a machine that's pulling higher than 15 amps, and you're plugging it into a 15 amp outlet. I don't advise. That's just a wrong thing to do. It's dangerous and it's unnecessary. So these little inserts, and you'll find these in all of them, they're just in there to be able to clamp that cord. So I'm just going to remove these real quick. So lose them. Now on the inside here, this one here is the green. So I'm going to put that just like that. I'm going to put this black one on the vertical. And I'm going to put the white into the horizontal. So I put these little plates back in. And the reason for these are some cords are thicker than other ones. So there we go. These can only go in one direction, evidently. Okay, so I'm just going to close this up. You always make sure you don't want to clamp onto, don't clamp onto these wires here. Make sure you're clamping onto the casing here. So you might have to give it a twist to get it to go in far enough. And there you go, nice and tight. It's not going to come out. Notice that the casing is crimped in there, so it won't pull out on you. Now, one last thing I want to cover real quick, just while we're doing this kind of thing, is stripping wires. So it's a little tricky to strip a wire with a knife. Generally what I do is kind of roll this through like this and then bend it until I find that little cut and see if I can pull it loose. The problem with doing it this way is you run the risk of cutting into the wire. So if you ever do strip a wire with a knife and you pull this part off and there's little copper pieces in here, you're going to have to cut this back and do it again. Any copper left in here is less copper in the wire for carrying the load. You don't want to do that. It's dangerous and not acceptable. So wire strippers, they have a few different kinds of wire strippers also. These are nice, they're automatic. You put it in here with the gauge of wire, you line it up in the hole, and then this crimps down right here, and you just keep squeezing and it pops it right out. Piece of cake. This is a much safer way to do it. These tools aren't very expensive, and the reality is if you buy this tool, you're going to save yourself a lot of time doing it this way, and you're going to do a better job. So my advice is to get you a tool like this or something similar. Practice at home with it a few times before you go out to a job where you have the potential of making a mistake on site. All right, I think we've covered about everything we need to cover today. Now remember, even after you set up your plugs and your cords and get everything plugged in, before you power the machine on, get a voltmeter and check your voltage. Make sure you have 120 going from black to white, 120 going from red to white, and maybe your 208 or 240 going from black to red. It's very important. Also, some outlets will have something known as a high leg, where the one wire is always has 100 or 240 no matter where you put it. This can work on most of our equipment. You want to give us a call here at Bund to make sure it's okay to use that on the piece of equipment you're working with. But always check your voltage before you turn the machine on. If you have wires mixed up, you could blow the circuit board. And one common mistake is that you take a plug off of a machine and you put a different plug on the machine to match the outlet that's on site, and you match up where the black one was, where the red one was, where the white one was, and where the green one was. The problem is you might have a problem in the wall that somebody messed up a long time ago, and then somebody might change the wiring in the machine to match that up. So for example, if you have the black and white switched in the wall, then you're going to have, on a 4-prong plug, you're going to have 208 or 240 going from black to white. In the machine you can move wires around and get the right voltage to the right place, but then the next person comes along, like you and I, and install a new piece of equipment. The new piece of equipment is wired correctly, not incorrectly, to match the incorrect outlet. So the bottom line is just measure your voltage before you turn the machine on. So that's all we have for this video. Hope you found it useful, and look for some other instructional videos to come. Thank you very much.